And we are back, coming back from that break with the, no, not quite the final, but at least in bracket D, the final qualifying match that we have this evening. For bracket D, at the very least. Here we are, kicking off the beginning of the end here on Site Delta. Where, of course, in the bottom right-hand corner map, spawning all the way. In the bottom right, we have our red Terran player coming down from the land of Korea. He's going to be representing Team Falcons. We have Buddy.
And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the blue Protoss player representing Bleed Esports. It is NightMare.
Another one of our Southeast Asian teams, or at least teams that are based in Southeast Asia.
Yeah, we do see, of course, NightMare. He recently did join a new team, joined the likes of Bleed Esports. It's been really cool to see him get some support again. He was teamless for so long. Now, finally, back on a team, back on top. Love to see it.
Yeah, getting support, flying him out here to Dallas to, continue to compete and, really show off a brand new side of himself. NightMare, I think we've mentioned it a couple of times as we've been able to cast him quite a bit in these past couple of weeks. Has been leveling up significantly, specifically in PvT. For the longest time, he has been known as a PvP sniper, but recently has been becoming a lot more well-rounded. I would say is we don't quite have the stats and we don't quite have the data on our hands right now, but in recent months, it does seem like his PvT is about or almost on the same level as his PvP win rate.
Yeah, it's been looking really impressive. We've been seeing NightMare take down players like Clem, like Bjorn, Kior very consistently as well. His PvT has been top tier, straight up, some of the best in the world. And that's why coming into this, I'm a little bit concerned for Bunny. I mean, I say that, but, Bunny is a player that you can never fully count out. He is a titan in his own right. Went to the ace match against Scarlet, and we'll see what he brings to the table here against NightMare as we're going for a Twilight Council opener.
Yeah, seeing a lot of these on Site Delta.
Seeing quite a lot of this Blink play, and this should be Blink. I know that we saw Cyan going for Charge quite a number of times, but this should just be Blink here from NightMare, just to gain map control, and we'll see how many gateways get thrown down, whether it's 2-gate Blink, 3-gate Blink, or even 4-gate Blink Stalker.
We can count.
We can count. For now.
There's going to be 2 for the time being. But yeah, when we get into some of these higher numbers, it gets a little bit tricky. And run out of fingers. So
4.
4, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a number.
That is a number.
That's, That's a number that
more than
we
one.
have fingers.
Yeah.
It is more than 1. It's less than 10.
It is less than 10. Let's go. For those who are curious, I pointed out earlier in the chat, we have exceeded the 10-hour mark here live on the stream. I mean, we haven't been casting for 10 hours straight. There's been a lot of downtime. That's the downside of events like DreamHack at times, is there is a lot of downtime. The players have to set up IRL, with their stations. Videos have to be done IRL as well. Like, there's lots, because there's sometimes some technical issues. That's always the thing that's the hardest about these casts, because casting back to back to back, you keep the momentum going. You keep yourself busy, but the downtime can sometimes slow you down a little bit in more ways than one.
Speaking of being slowed down, that was a donation. If I've ever seen one, that was questionable coming up from Bunny. We don't normally see Bunny making a mistake like that, and we just don't often see medevacs moving in that path. We normally see them kind of skirt around the edges of the map.
It looks like Bunny was distracted by the Adept. 3 SCVs did go down, so as Bunny was distracted dealing with the Adept, the drop did go down, and that was a brutal loss. Now here we go, NightMare pushing on forward, takes down that SCV. Bunker not quite done, Marines getting chipped away at as well. So far, solid blinks here from NightMare as he does avoid disaster, doesn't lose a single Stalker, and chips away, gets 4 Marines. I mean, look at the units lost tab here. The efficiency from NightMare has been insane. A big part of that was the medevac going down as well.
Yeah. But it was also something that NightMare was able to force a little bit, with his Adept somehow sneaking in to the main base, like you pointed out, distracting Bunny a ton. A lot of these times in the early game, when you go for the mine drop, it can be a little bit set it and forget it in a way, so we normally kind of autopilot a little bit, especially as we get to the later stages of a tournament like this. Yeah, I can't fault Bunny too much for autopiloting a little bit and making a mistake like that.
Yeah, again, it was just a bit of a distraction, and, you know, that is a big part of these events as well, the whole stamina, the endurance, you know. We may have been just, you know, casting for 10 hours, but these players have been playing for just as long as well, so it's been a long event so far. Meanwhile, we do see Bunny setting up back at home, settling into his stim, combat shields +1, this 3-1-1 setup here. A pretty solid setup on 2 bases. Meanwhile, NightMare has been able to successfully get into his 3-base economy. And not just that, it's not just Blink Stalker, we're working towards Disruptors, not Colossus.
Interesting choice coming out here from NightMare. Obviously, you can get a lot more done with Disruptors, assuming you land those Purification Novas, but it's not really as reliable as Colossus, especially as a defensive unit.
Yes.
They're really good for zoning out. Yeah, they're really good for zoning away the Terran army, but not so much when you stand and deliver.
Yeah, as we do have the Prism slipping into the main base, a couple of SCVs are going to be going down. Ooh, even almost a bit of friendly fire as well, but it looks like only 2 SCVs do fall. Bunny will retain control of his main. Prism dipping back in, but we're being a bit too ambitious here as the Prism will barely escape.
Just barely. Yeah, we'll escape. We'll be able to ferry away a couple of Zealots. Bunny, no third base as of yet. Did have an SCV in position, but they get swatted away by these Zealots. You mentioned a little bit earlier on, and NightMare did focus on Blink to start with, but now we do have Charge. Now we do have a full-on Swarm Toss. NightMare taking the offensive and not quite able to pick off these tanks. That is absolutely key in the defense here for Bunny.
Yeah, the tanks, they live a little bit longer. The tanks will not go down. We barely hold on. A bit of a misjudgment there from NightMare as Bunny will defend, and NightMare bled out every single unit. Zealots, Stalkers, Sentries, they all went down. Now NightMare is vulnerable. Back at home, we do have some Disruptors, but Bunny has some momentum. We can push out.
Yeah, he's lifting everything he's got, and he wants to ferry them immediately across the map. Like you mentioned, Bunny's got momentum. He's well aware of this fact, and he's looking to make full use of it.
Yeah, he's going to be zooming across the map. We do have a scouting cell from NightMare. He does spot the Doom Drop, but spotting is one thing. Can we stop the Doom Drop from really occurring? We do have Disruptors. If we can get the most perfect Purification Novas that we can hold, that's going to be a big if. Oh, the Medivacs!
Or if we blink right on top of the Medivacs. Medivac whiff, I believe the tank. Okay, not quite the tank, but a couple of bio units does get taken out. Bunny once again going to get slowed down. The middle of the map is where NightMare wants to fight when he has gateway units. That was a surprising defense. Surprisingly effective defense here from NightMare.
Yeah, one Disruptor does get picked off though. We do see some more Novas going off, trying to stone away Bunny. Another Nova looking to connect, but no, the target firing from Bunny does focus it down.
Is able to take it out. Archons tanked a lot of shots, but in the end they will get taken out. Good blink backwards away from that mine shot, and NightMare's actually chasing this back with what little he's got.
Yeah, but you know what?
I still have to favor, Bunny's army. He does have a decent Marauder count, and as you were about to allude to, without those Archons, NightMare is a lot more vulnerable, a lot more squishy.
Yeah, but we do see Bunny forced to pull back. NightMare gets away with his 4th base. It's getting up and running. Again, both players, I mean, NightMare, I should emphasize here, has an insane economy. 70 probes behind this. Warping against out after Zelda. Disruptor is exposed once again.
And it will get picked off. I have to favor the army of Bunny, but looking at NightMare's economy, he's got 4 bases. He's up 20 workers. If this game goes on, if NightMare is able to survive, and he is getting the tools he needs to survive. He's getting Colossus, he's getting Thermal Ants, he's just rounding off his army slowly but surely. Eventually, we're going to see NightMare in almost an unkillable position.
Yeah, NightMare is going for a very swarm toss composition. What I mean by that, no gases at the third, no gases at the fourth. We do have some high-tech or gas-based units with Stalker and Colossus, but it's mainly Zealot. We're warping in wave after wave of charge ults here to really round out this army, and we'll see how well this can work for NightMare. For now, Bunny likewise moving out. His army is quite efficient, but if NightMare can bring everything together, we can shut this down as we catch another medevac.
Will hinder Bunny's ability to multi-prong, and yeah, NightMare does get eyes on the main army movement. He knows exactly where he needs to reposition himself.
He is aware. We can see NightMare rotating over. Does collapse on these Marauders. Oh, 2, 3, 4 Marauders almost get picked off here by those charge ults. Nice kiting here by Bunny, but you can see NightMare is looking to collapse on this army, looking to try to focus on these medevacs.
Yeah, trying to, but there's way too many Marauders on the ground. Colossus is a little bit too far away to deal with the Marines in particular, but they will eventually get in position. They will be able to chase this away. NightMare still wants to get those medevacs, and all of a sudden, looking at the army supplies, it's starting to dip in favor of NightMare.
Yeah, again, Bunny just bleeding out a little bit too much there. We saw Zealot run by. 7 SCVs did go down. Bunny is working towards Ghosts, towards Vikings, towards Liberators, but he needs more time. NightMare, that army, that economy that you were talking about, now reflected in the army supplies here as NightMare takes a massive lead.
Barely took any economic damage whatsoever. He was staring down a 20 army supply deficit and still decided to go for this fourth. It still decided to saturate it. You know, there's getting away with murder, but it is an expression. I think this is a level above that. This is getting away with tax evasion.
As we do manage to catch a couple of Widow Mines here, we did cause the army to come back home at least, but NightMare taking another expansion. Very unique expansion pattern from NightMare is what I will say, as he's expanding kind of in the direction that he's been pushing. Meanwhile, Bunny going for his own 4cc, still needs time to get it up and running, but yeah, NightMare's not going to give him that time. He's already pushing out.
Yeah, he's about to max out. He's only 12 supply away. Once this pylon finishes up, he should have... This pylon, this Nexus finishes up, he should be able to fully max out, and yeah, he might not even need to get there.
Yeah, I mean, there's no tanks, there's no Widow Mines behind this. We collapse on top of those Ghosts. 2 Ghosts go down. Ooh, not enough to fully break through. Never goes off.
Ooh. And it will connect in the end with a decent chunk of Marines and Marauders. A lot of SCVs going down as well to a little bit of a Zealot run-by towards the south. Great trade from NightMare.
Yeah, and he's not done. He's coming back in with reinforcements. Nice EMP on the Stalkers, but the Zealots a breakthrough. We focus down this initial disruptor. We have 2 Colossus. We have the Colossus just raining down Hellfire here on the Terran army. And Bunny, he almost has nothing left.
He's got a planetary. Yeah. Zone away the army for now.
Yeah. True. We have the planetary. We have a decent amount of Marauders. We have a handful of Ghosts, and NightMare, he's just avoiding the planetary. He doesn't care. He's going straight for the army, straight for the kill.
And GG is called. NightMare going to be taking a very solid game number 1.
GG, well played. And NightMare takes a lead in the series. As a reminder, this is a best of 3, not a best of 5. So NightMare is 1 game away from advancing on into the knockout bracket.
Indeed, he is. Just un momento, por favor. Bunny staring down elimination right now. 1 map away. Like I said, 1 map away for NightMare to advance. 1 map away for Bunny to be eliminated.
Oh yeah, 1 more. I do see some people asking in the chat. I mean, the format is a little bit complicated just because there are a lot of layers to DreamHack. Basically, we have the open stage, and top 2 from each bracket in the open stage make it into the knockout bracket, and you have to make it through the knockout bracket to make it into the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, it's been said before, right? DreamHack is like an onion.
Uh-huh.
It's got layers.
It does have those. It does have those layers, and oh boy, there's also the winner stage where no one gets knocked out of that. They get knocked down to the knockout bracket as well. Basically, it's all gonna come to a head tomorrow, as we're not touching the knockout bracket yet. Tomorrow, that's when we're gonna be covering it, both on this stream and on the main stream.
Indeed. Day 2 is going to be completely dedicated to that, so yeah, it's going to be... If you thought day 1 in the open stage was brutal and cutthroat, when you get to the knockout bracket, we see all of these players who barely make it through, have to compete with the... Yeah, potentially get knocked out, compete with the other players up there who, you know, was seeded directly into DreamHack. But regardless, we're going to be continuing our series of Best of 3 TVP here on El Guione. Over here in the top right-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the top right, we have our red Terran player coming down from the land of Korea. Of course, is going to be representing his team, Team Falcons. We have Bunny.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the South Korean Protoss player leading the series 1-0, 1 game away from qualifying for the knockout bracket. It is NightMare. And I just got confirmation. It looks like the mainstream are focusing on the winner stage. They will not be casting one of the open stage matches, which means after this series, we could go into... Right, we could have one more. Could we have one more series?
Yeah, we could have one
match.
more. It looks like that's where it's shaping up. Yeah, it looks like that's how it is shaping up. And yeah, it looks like how it's shaping up. We obviously are still waiting for an opponent there for Lambo in that final qualifier, whether it's going to be Harsem or Sue.
I like what you're trying to say there. Basically, it's like, yeah, it looks like we're not going to bed. Looks like we're not going to sleep. Oh, I see.
Yeah, I feel like we're hitting that tipping point, right? There's a theory that, yes, not having sleep or staying up too much is a detriment, but if you stay up long enough,
then it's still a detriment. Yeah. It doesn't suddenly become good for you. It's not like if you stay up long enough, suddenly you just gain more like vitality, and it's just good for you, for the brain.
You unlock the secrets of the galaxy.
Yeah, your third eye opens. Yeah, you can see for the first time.
You achieve the Avatar state.
You're Super Saiyan.
You Mega Evolve.
You become a Digi-Destined.
Oh. You get ready to rumble.
What?
Is that what it's saying, Beyblade?
It's a Twilight Council opener.
Get ready
It's a Twilight Council opener once again out of NightMare. As a reminder, he went for a 2-gate blink opener into a third base in game number 1. And I imagine we're going to be seeing something similar here in game number 2 as well, as blink is on the way, and we're staying on a lower gateway count for the time being.
Yeah, for now. Could be seeing a bit of a repeat of game number 1, at least from the side of NightMare. There's no real reason for him to mess with a winning formula. My eyes are a lot more on Bunny, as I don't think we'll necessarily see him switch things up too much. I think we're just going to see him try to tighten things up, try to avoid the mistakes that he made in the early game, and ideally get into his game, get into his groove a little bit smoother and a little bit, come in a little bit hotter, you know?
He is going to be getting hot and heavy here as we do end up bleeding out the initial Hellion. Looking at our gateway count, once again, it's just a 2-gate blink opener out of NightMare. This should be leading to a third CC. Third Nexus. Meanwhile, Bunny kicks off once again with a mind drop, this time skirting around the edge of the map. This time he will not lose it needlessly.
Well, ideally, anyway.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, he's setting himself up to minimize the chances of that.
Yeah, as the jump is going to be slipping into the main base. Meanwhile, Stalker's in position. Blink is now done just in time. Big reaction here, and the drop goes down.
Once again, this drop not going to get any damage, really. I mean, one probe goes down, but he does confirm the Twilight Council opening, does confirm Blink, so it's something.
Yeah. It does confirm Blink at least. We can see that NightMare does delay his third base. This is an option you can go for, where this third base is a little bit delayed in favor of the Bay. The Robotics Bay was thrown down first, just so NightMare can securely get into Colossus production a little bit faster here to be safe against his opponent.
And that is something that Bunny wasn't quite able to confirm yet, but in fairness, I'm not sure if the knowledge of that would really deter his game plan right now. He is working into a push. He does have that triple barracks production, and he is working on his stim +1 timing.
Exactly, as the Stalkers are going to be blinked and forced out of the natural waste. We do get 2 SCVs, but not much more than that, as Bunny's building up on his 2-base setup here with his 3-1-1, 3 axes, 1 factory, 1 starport, and will eventually break out once he has that stim, once he has those upgrades.
Oh! Yeah, but we do have the Observer in the main base, and we do have the Stalkers able to just blink straight in. Both medevacs will go down. That's a massive delay on the push.
Yes.
Bunny could still try to go for the push, I guess, but he doesn't have any longevity to it.
That was an insane pickoff. Sniping 2 medevacs and a Marauder, considering we were building up towards a stim timing with a medevac drop as well. That is brutal. As you mentioned, like, I'm not so confident in this push anymore. The Observer is spotted. Thankfully, it's going to be going down, and we do have some medevacs. I mean, Bunny has to move out, but as you said, there's less sustain with this army. So much less sustain.
He's got to be so careful with when and how he stims.
Oh.
But the boys, we're getting ready. Bunny has had enough. He doesn't want this game to go on. He knows that the longer it goes on, the better it is for NightMare. Best bet is ending it now, and his best bet to end it now is to go all in.
Yeah, but remember the faster Bay. We have a Colossus already. Boys are being pulled, but we have some force fields available. How well can we close off this ram? Second Colossus has arrived.
Decent-ish force field. Shield battery doing so much to keep these Colossus alive, and that's all you really need to do right now as NightMare. One Colossus goes down. Not a bad pickoff.
Yeah, one Colossus falls. I mean, it costs us 18 SCVs. We go for the dive, but the overcharge keeps the Colossus alive, and it looks like NightMare is shutting this down completely. And this was so committed, so all in. Bunny bleeding out 20 SCVs, going for another dive, but alas, it's not going to be enough. The Colossus stands strong.
Colossus stands strong. GG is called, and NightMare going to be shutting this down, taking that series 2-0, qualifying for the knockout bracket tomorrow. I cannot believe how dominant that looked here from NightMare. I mean, we've been hyping him up. We've been talking about his PvT, how much better he's been getting in the matchup, and how he's really been becoming a very well-rounded player. That was still absolutely dominant. He made Bunny look like a bad player, and that is not at all reflective of Bunny as a player.
Yeah, I mean, maybe part of it is that stamina thing where Bunny, he just wanted to get this through and went for this more aggressive style, but as we saw, NightMare completely shut it down time and time again. A very strong performance here out of NightMare, and with that, Bunny, his run here at DreamHack has ended.
It has ended indeed. Heart goes out to Bunny, man. It was very, very hard fought for him, especially his series against Scarlet in the upper bracket finals. That was... I mean, that might have contributed a little bit to that stamina thing you were talking about. It was very high octane. It was very hard fought and very, very close. Bunny, this season, spring into summer, question mark? Yeah, I guess just isn't really his season, as he will be eliminated here. In
day one.
Yeah, in day one. Which, if a couple of things went differently, just a couple of things previously before coming into the lower bracket finals, which did look very dominant here for NightMare. A couple of things went differently for him previously. Might have advanced.
Yeah. definitely might have advanced there, but my condolences go out to definitely my condolences to Bunny there in the end, and with that, congratulations to NightMare as he makes it through. And with that, we are running out of matches. That is the conclusion of Group D, and now our attention goes to Group C, as it looks like Sue versus Hearthstone is currently mid-series. They are in Game 1 in a long macro game, which means we're going to be diving into Game 2 of Sue and Hearthstone.
Yeah, I can't wait. As in, literally.
Yeah, it looks like they're on side Delta. It looks like an insane late game between both Sue and Hearthstone, so we'll see how that does eventually turn out. Regardless of who wins and loses, we will be jumping into game number 2 at least, and then we'll be following that series into Lambo thereafter.
Indeed. One more qualifying match, one more shot. A little bit of redemption for our 3 remaining players. One more chance to make it to that knockout stage to keep their dreams alive here in ESL Masters Spring.
Yeah, it looks like the mainstream is concluded as well, so they get to end early. They're lucky. But it looks like not just the B stream, but the mainstream has concluded. So yeah, it's just gonna be the side streams continuing on here. Again, still 1.5 series left. 1.5 series left to go. So we're gonna keep it going.
Yeah, might as well. Might as well.
Yeah, so for now we're going to be going on a short break. When we return, we will have the continuation of Sue versus Hearthstone.
That we shall. We'll see you then.